Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app. This is Investor Schooling Live with your host, Larry Steinhaus, CEO of Investor Schooling.
Investor Schooling Live. So we sat here and we were trying to fix all these microphones before the show started. So I was supposed to rewrite the intro to the show, right? Because last week we said the intro was terrible.
Too long.
And I was supposed to rewrite the intro to the show, and I was hoping to take that time to do that. And we have all these technical difficulties, so if you guys are hearing an echo right now, we apologize. We tried to work it out for the last half an hour. We tried to fix it. So if you hear it, I apologize. Stay tuned. Still enjoy the show. But I didn't write a new intro.
And
so,
we are in our studio. We are not in an aquarium. So if it sounds like we're in an aquarium, we are not in an aquarium.
We are in a toilet bowl, though.
So you want to do like a mini intro to just say who we are and what's going on?
Well, that's what I was going to do. That's what I was going to discuss with you. Let's discuss it right now.
Okay.
How do we do an intro? So I'm Larry Steinhaus. Welcome to Investor Schooling Live. I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Debbie Anderson, and
Omri, who just keeps showing up every week.
Yeah, I'm not a co-host.
Omri just shows up. And we also have a guest in the audience. We have Carl Fisher. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Carl Fisher from Camaplan. But what else should we say? Should we say the call-in number?
We should say the call-in number.
855-939-1137.
And you have to say it like 6 times,
It's
right?
855-939-1137.
Go ahead. Keep going, Omri.
Again, it's 855-939-1137.
How about the website?
Well, we don't need the website yet. So
No,
this is the
not
call-in
yet.
number. So when people want to call in, they want to ask us questions, they can call in. The really weird part is I don't even think we're on Facebook right now. So that's even odder that we're not on Facebook either. So nothing's working.
So if somebody hear us, please shout.
Yeah. So if you're listening to the show, 855-939-1137. Hey, let me know if you can actually hear us in your car, because nobody can see us on Facebook because that's not working. We got this echo going on in the studio right now. I don't know. Maybe
Maybe we're not even live.
maybe we're not even here.
Yeah, exactly.
We must not be on. But somebody can always text me, and I can always check.
I think we're dreaming.
Hey, Larry.
Yeah.
Hey, Larry. It seems to have straightened itself out or rectified itself. When you started the show, take this information.
Completely bad show.
It's only because Carl's on today, because Carl
Yeah.
brought his bad luck with him today.
Right.
Like, what's up with that? Come on.
I don't know. I see the live on air signs lit up, so that's all. That was my job.
That's so funny. So I don't know what's going on. Everything's blowing up right now. So so if you can see us online, great. If you can't, look, we
there
just
we
went
go.
online.
We are
All right,
online.
yay!
We got one thing working. That's awesome.
Yay! So now all our fans are going, okay, this show is so boring. We always talk about stuff that has nothing to do with real estate, has nothing to do with stock options or anything else. But we're eventually going to get to our guest, who will actually tell you why he's here. Anyway, real quick, Investor Schooling Live. What do we do? What do we do in Investor Schooling, Dr. Deb?
We teach people how to become financially independent.
How to make money. I love it, right? So we teach people how to make money. That's the coolest thing that we do here in Investor Schooling. And you can go to investorschooling.com and you can actually sign up for a free class right now. And on Thursday, we will teach you how to do some really cool stuff. I never set up your camera on me. I don't even have a camera on you.
It's okay. People know how I look. They don't know my name, but they know
don't
how
know how
I
to spell
look.
your name either.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
I know. I got 3 cameras on Dr. Deb, and I got no camera on you, and I got
well,
no,
That's-
that's-
she's
and I
a
got no
co-host.
camera on Carl.
She's a co-host. She
Well, she's a
deserves
lot
it.
better looking.
There you
Exactly.
go. So, yeah, I always need one on me because it makes me feel better. There you
Stop, because I'm
We got
starting
the
to get
online working. You know what
insulted.
happened when we got the online working?
Uh-huh.
As soon as we got the online working, the echo came back.
go. Oh, well.
So
So maybe it's that.
we got new problems. Maybe it's
Okay.
back. I don't know. Maybe. All right. So we got. Let me see. Talking about something while I fix the camera for Carl.
All right, so what are we going to talk about, Omri?
We
You're
talk- we
butting
can-
in about something. So,
So
what?
we can talk about the amazing class we had on Thursday.
It was a good class on
I
Thursday.
really, really enjoyed that. I was never into stock option trading.
So for people who don't know what we did last Thursday, Larry went over the rules. So we have a set of rules that he made up, way back when, and the rules are set up to not lose money. So as a result of not losing money, you end up making money. And I think it's like 10 or 12 rules or 15. I don't even
17
know.
rules.
17 rules,
I don't
yeah.
even know, or whatever.
People come with the assumption that stock option is so risky. But
Well, it
there are-
can be, but we teach them a part-time way that's not as scary to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
And
usually
it's-
when people come in, it takes 4 to 6 weeks before they do their first stock option, and they have to answer a bunch of questions before we let them do it to make sure that they know what they're doing. And a lot of it is just looking at the stocks and seeing what it's doing throughout the day. And I always talk about the 10:30 drop and the 2:30.
How many stocks? 7, 5?
6.
6.
Six.
6.
So-
Only 6 stocks.
So why only the 6 stocks?
You tell.
So because you can't ever look at more than 6 stocks. So when you're trading, you're not even trading 6. You're usually only trading 2 or 3, maybe 4. You're never looking at all. You're never trading all 6.
We don't want you to be in front of 4 screens extended from your computer.
Right. So we don't teach day trading.
Long. Yeah,
it's something that we don't do.
It's something
we don't teach
completely different.
Here, so it's day trading is gambling.
All right. I don't know if we're streaming online anymore. It keeps cutting in and out. But I will tell you that that's exactly right. You guys are great. I now have a camera on Carl. So I want to take a minute to introduce our guest. And I never did. I never even set up. See, this is what happens, Glenn, when we have technical problems. You know, the half hour before the show, I like to relax. I like to talk to people, find out who they are. Now, I've known Carl for a long time now, so it's a good thing. So Carl owns a company called Camaplan. And what Camaplan does, if you guys know, I often talk about investing money either in real estate. You can either invest your money by lending money to people, or you can buy real estate, but you can do that in your IRA. And the coolest thing about doing that in your IRA is, wow, you want to talk about making some heavy-duty returns. Obviously, I can't guarantee that. But you can make some heavy-duty returns by buying real estate. You can buy a property. Maybe it goes up 50% in a couple of years, and you sell that property, but it stays within your IRA, and you don't pay taxes on that until a certain event. If it's a Roth IRA, you never pay taxes on it, which is really neat. But you need a custodian in order to do that because you're not allowed to touch the money. So Carl Fisher, who is our guest today, owns a company called Camaplan, and in that company, they are the custodian for your money. So welcome, Carl.
Hey, thanks a lot, Larry and Dr. Deb and Omri. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so I thank you very much for being here. Actually, we're excited for you to be here because we send a lot of our students to become clients of Camaplan because they take their money so and so investment that might begin with an F, or might begin with some other mutual fund that the agent takes all the money from. And then we send them to you. They put their money there, and then they either lend that money out or they buy real estate. So we send a lot of our students to you. So how does it actually work? How does the whole Roth IRA, self-directed IRA system work?
Well, that's a pretty diverse question. But basically, you touched on the Roth IRA is tax-free. And I want to tell your listeners right now, I'm biased towards tax-free. So I think people should be looking at Roth IRAs, and the main reason I think that's it is because I think taxes will go up in the future, so you can pay the tax at this rate, and then everything that grows in your Roth will be tax-free. In the traditional, you'll get a tax break, but then everything you make in the future, when you pull it out, you'll be paying taxes on it. For simple, which you can put in more money, but basically being self-direction means you have a broader spectrum of investments that you can choose from, i.e. you can do, as you talked about, be a mini bank and lend money. You can buy actual real estate, whether it be a condominium, a single-family home, part of a multi-family apartment building. It doesn't matter, raw land. So the other thing that I'd really like to talk a little bit about is, since we were talking in the beginning about trading options, you can also do real estate options in your IRA.
Oh, that's interesting too. Yeah, sure.
So it gives you a lot more benefits or a lot more assets to choose from if you go with the self-directed. Now, at Camaplan, we don't sell any assets. We don't tell you whether they're good or bad. You have to do your own due diligence and use something like investor schooling to get your feet wet and understand it and talk to the people that either your teachers or the other people in the class that have learned this. But it's a great tool. You're talking about making money. I think it helps you make money, but better off, I know it saves you money.
Yeah, so real quick, if anybody wants to call in, 855-939-1137, 855-939-1137. We're talking about self-directed IRAs, which I would bet that 95% of the people listening to this show right now have never heard of the term self-directed IRA, or if they did, they were taught it wrong. I'll explain that in a minute, but I want to continue with the phone number. 855-9IRA is an investment that such and such a broker sells you. And they can just happen to take a tax deduction for that investment such a sells you. Because when I say to people, hey, you can move your IRA into real estate, they're like, no, I can't. That's invested in the mutual fund thing that, my broker, who doesn't know anything about anything else but what he sells. I make fun of brokers all the time. Doesn't know anything about anything about what he sells is all you can do with it. So that's why I think people have no idea what an IRA is. Why don't we start with just the concept of what an IRA really is?
Okay, well, an IRA, if you go back to the 1970s, they introduced IRAs, and what they allowed American citizens to do is have these IRAs and put money away for the future and reward you for doing that. Their reward was basically not to charge you tax on that money now because you were solidifying your retirement and theoretically helping out Social Security.
So really, if you would put what's the limit now? This year, 7,000.
7,000. Yeah.
So if you put in 7,000 this year, but then I think it was 2,000 when it first started, right?
Yes, it was 2,000, but because of inflation and those expenses, you're allowed to put more and more in there. And then in 1998, they made the Roth IRA.
Well, before we go to Roth, I want to finish with the IRA because I want people to understand what an IRA really is. Now, some people are going, "Oh, this is still boring. I know this," but I'm telling you, you need to understand fully what it is because it is not an investment.
No,
it is a vehicle or an envelope that you put investments in.
Right, a tax advantage plan. Think of it as a trust.
Sure.
Okay, that's how the IRS sometimes calls it. So it's basically a trust with tax advantages.
Right. So now people can have this IRA that they contribute to, and this year it's 7,000. When it first started again, it was 2,000, and they can get, if they contributed to an IRA, if they're a regular W-2 employee, they can now deduct that amount that they put in from their earnings that year.
Right, exactly.
And pay less taxes because they did that. Then,
if they made $100,000, they'd only pay taxes on $93,000.
Right, exactly. Right.
If they put it in the
Go
traditional.
ahead, Army. You had a
So
question?
it's 100%. 100% of the $7,000 you can put every year on your IRA can count as a tax expense.
Well, it's not
tax
quite a
deduction.
As a
I'm sure.
deduction.
Yeah, tax deduction.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But there are disadvantages to that. We're going to get into that in a second. Now, and you said it before, Carl, is that at the end of, and is it 65 now I can take the money out?
59 and a half.
59 and a half. Okay, right, because I'm mixing up with HSA. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and you can take it out sooner. We've got ways to help people do that. It's called 72T distributions, but that's for another show.
Yeah, definitely for another show because I've never heard of that. So that's interesting. Write that down because I don't know what that is. And that's the first time somebody mentioned something. But Carl's a genius.
Okay.
First of all, you know what Carl's background is?
No, I don't.
He was a rocket scientist.
Oh, were you real? So my daughter is actually going to school for aerospace engineering. We should have a discussion.
Where is she?
She's at Penn State.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, she's going into her. She just started her second year, so she just started school this week.
Hold on, I got to get back to IRAs.
All right, I'm sorry.
Okay.
This is more interesting. Come on, aerospace. Come on.
I agree with her.
Yeah, I mean that's more fun. The rocket science.
All right, this is now the Debbie and Army show. I'm going home. What else is new? Every week I have the same argument with you
You're going
guys.
to mute us in a second, right?
That's
Man,
so cool.
mute. Okay. No. So now people take this money out at 59 and a half or later, and they are taxed on everything that comes out, not just the money they put in, but any profit they made. They're taxed on that.
Yeah, well, let's just say they put $7,000 in for 10 years. They'd have $70,000, and let's say they tripled that money, so they'd have $210,000
Right. Okay.
based on their investments. Now, if they pull that $210,000 out, it gets added to their salary of that year, and they pay taxes on it.
Right, which could be pretty bad for some people.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would probably put you, if depending on what you made, on your W-2, et cetera,
Sure.
it could put you at the, 37% range, right?
Yeah,
And
soon to be
then-
39.
Yeah. Well, and then you have state taxes and things too,
Right.
depending on what state you're in.
Right. So then some genius named Roth came up with the Roth IRA. And why don't we talk about that? What that one is right now?
Okay, so the Roth IRA is a little bit different, but again, it's considered a trust. It's a tax advantage plan. But when you put your $7,000 into the account and declare it a Roth, you don't get the $7,000 deduct. But what happens is this money goes into this Roth IRA / trust, and it's already taxed because you're going to pay tax on the $100,000 that you made. So everything that makes, for the next
However,
you have it in there. Let's use our same example. Let's say you did it for 10 years and you had $70,000 in there and you made $210,000, when you pull that $210,000 out, you're going to have $210,000.
Tax-free money.
Tax-free. That's what you get. Like in the
Right.
traditional, you pull it out, and let's just say you had to pay a third of it, a 33% tax bracket, then you'd be paying $70,000 in taxes and only net $140,000.
Right. So everybody asks me the same question, like, should I do a Roth IRA or a regular IRA? And the answer that I almost always give, because there are always exceptions to almost always, is to do a Roth IRA. And this is exact reasons why. You are taxed on the seed, and you're not taxed on the fruit, which is fantastic.
Right.
And that is why you do it. Now, if you have an IRA, you can also convert that IRA into a Roth IRA. But I want to give the phone number real quick in case anybody has any questions on this. 855-939-1137 is the phone number. 855-939-1137. Any question you want, anything that has to do with money, but we're talking about IRAs, Roth IRAs, and we're talking about self-directed IRAs in a moment, because that's really good stuff, self-directed IRAs. 855-939-1137 is the phone number. 855-939-1137. You're listening to Larry Steinhaus, Investor Schooling Live. I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Deb, and also Omri, and also, of course, Carl Fisher from Camaplan. 855-939-1137. Okay, let's get into what you do. So now people have this money, and they bring it to a broker, which is typically what happens. The broker says to open up an IRA, and they put it into any mutual fund or whatever investment that the broker suggests, and that's what they sell them. Then all of a sudden, they never knew that there's something called a self-directed IRA, or some brokers call their IRA self-directed, and they have 5 plans that the person can choose from inside that self-directed IRA. So it's limited self-directed IRA is what I call it.
Yeah.
But now you have what's called Camaplan, which is which is the company that lets people self-direct their IRA into almost anything that's an investment.
Yep. Anything except life insurance and collectibles, basically, people can invest in. And another way, a lot of people understand 401ks, an IRA and a 401k are very similar. And 401ks can be self-directed as well. But you bring up a good point, like some of the brokerage houses will say, hey, this is a self-directed IRA, but you only self-direct in what they sell.
Right.
And I told you at the beginning, we don't sell anything,
right.
So you pick and choose based on your knowledge and expertise, because that's where the risk is minimized when you're using your knowledge and expertise. So that's what you get to choose to do.
Minimized or maximized.
Yeah.
Right. So if
minimize your risk, maximize your returns.
Right. But also, so if somebody doesn't know what they're doing with their IRA money, they probably should not move their money into a self-directed IRA.
Exactly.
And so they need to have education. Of course, that's what investor schooling is all about. We educate places you can invest your money. Not just your IRA, but any money at all. We educate them, and then you go off and do what you want. How to invest it. If you want to invest in real estate, you can do that. If you want to invest in stock options, you can do that. Stock market, you do that. Even if you want to invest in, you won't do gold and silver, or will you?
No, we do gold and silver.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, we
so,
do.
Yeah.
We
you
do
can put gold and silver in your self-directed IRA as well.
Yeah. Private placements.
Are you doing Bitcoin yet?
We're not doing Bitcoin.
Okay, good. Because I hate that stuff.
We'll allow people to create an LLC with their IRA, and then that LLC will go out and buy the Bitcoin.
Okay.
But it's too hard for me to understand, and I don't.
You don't want the risk for your client.
Right.
Yeah, I don't blame you. So Dr. Deb, you like we borrowed money from people's IRAs before.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is we have to talk to them, and so we have to educate them on how to use their IRA, and they move their money. And we use Camaplan. We just use it because I love Carl. He's a great guy. I mean, Carl doesn't give us any commission. We don't care. But you don't even make that much money, which is interesting too. But that's another story. But
low margins.
Yeah.
High volume.
So for example, somebody buys an asset. Let's say they buy a house or they lend money to Dr. Deb. What is the fee in their IRA?
We have 2 ways of doing fees, but basically, I like in most cases, you base it on the asset. So if you're buying a $100,000 house or $1 million farm, we charge $300 a year for that asset. And then when you buy it, it's $150 at the closing, in and out.
That's amazing.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And,
so it's $300 a year is all the fees you charge. So think about people who have IRAs with brokers, the amount of fees that they get charged every year. just for the privilege of the broker putting them into an account that they can make commission on top of it.
Well, yeah, but you also have to understand that for us, it doesn't make a difference if it's, $1 million piece of property or 100,000. It's the exact same paperwork. My sister and I started the company, and we're investors, so we wanted a business model that was for investors.
Hey, Omri and I are buying a 23-unit apartment building. Do you want to invest?
It depends on what it is. I mean, now you're asking me this on the air, and you haven't told me anything of diligence.
The reason I'm asking you on the air is because I want to put you on the spot.
There you go. Did you put the Camaplan bumper sticker on the Model T yet?
I will if you lend us the money on this.
Okay, how much do you need?
$1.3 million.
That's the second offer I've gotten this week.
Really?
For $1.3 million.
Maybe it's the same unit.
Yeah.
No.
So can I ask a question regarding the IRA?
Yeah, of course.
I have two questions. First of all, what happened
Boy,
if
give
in
him an inch, he takes a yard, huh?
You're understanding Omri.
I
Now
can't
you're
get a
finally
break. I
getting-
can't
said,
get a
"Can I
break.
ask-"
Even
Now
the
you're
guest.
understanding Omri. He just
it's-
shows up.
He says,
he's
"Get-"
not invited. He just shows up every week, and he just shows up, and then he shows up to class half the time.
Yeah.
and
Can
half
I
the
have
time
a
he doesn't,
question?
so-
No, I have two.
No,
It's
listen.
Omri. It's typical Omri.
I
Every
don't know.
week
I
they
like
change
it.
the lock. I need to go from the window. It became ridiculous.
We keep closing the door, and he keeps opening it up, finding another technical
great.
way to get in.
So I always look at the worst scenario ever. What happened in case I have somebody in my family very sick and I need the money out now because I have a surgery abroad? I need to pay the tax according to the current year, or according to the year that I've put the money in?
No, the current year.
The current year.
If you, at your age, you're a young man.
Uh-huh.
If you pull your money out of your IRA, out
Before
of your traditional IRA, before you're 59 and a half, you'll pay a 10% penalty. But there's 7 exemptions to that.
Okay.
And, like if you're buying a first-time house, you can take some out. If you're sick, you can take some out. So there are some exemptions to that where you don't pay the penalty,
Okay.
but you'll always pay the tax. Now, in a Roth IRA, you can take out any of your contributions. So in our example, if you put $70,000 in there and you needed, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70,000, you could pull that out without any penalties. And I always tell people, if you have a savings account for a rainy day, you should turn it into an IRA, because then you have asset protection, because if you get sued, IRAs are not assets that
Somebody can take.
creditors can go and take from you.
Okay.
Okay, so if you do it in a Roth, that all your contributions are always available to you with no tax and no penalty.
Okay, so you take the money from the IRA. You're not borrowing from the IRA,
No,
correct?
you take it as a distribution.
Okay, I understand.
Right, so you can do it in
No,
hardship.
Yeah, well, and let's just say you needed it for a surgery. The surgery got done and it was half price. You could put that money back within 60 days and pay no penalties too.
Amazing.
So
Okay.
you can basically borrow your IRA money for up to 60 days without a problem once a year.
I
like
didn't
that,
know
huh?
that. Yeah.
Here, I got something even cooler for you. So if you put money into a Roth IRA, right? Check this out. You put money into a Roth IRA. So January 1st, you put in money for 2023, for example. You put in $7,000 into the Roth IRA for 2023, and you turn that $7,000 into, I don't know, $14,000.
Good
You
year.
could actually pull the original $7,000 back out with no penalties and no tax.
Yes.
So you could actually make money on the phantom money and keep doing that every year.
So the IRA made 100%. You can take your initial investment,
Not, so
Yes.
only with a Roth
Yes.
IRA.
Yes.
Just
With
gotta
the
be
Roth
careful. Got to
IRA.
be a Roth IRA.
and it's tax free.
Yes.
So remember that you put the $7,000 in. You're not getting a tax deduction for that. Remember?
Yeah, I know.
You
Right,
paid
but
the tax.
Right. You already paid the tax. So now, when you pull that $7,000 out 6 months later, let's say you double the account, and you pull the $7,000 out 6 months later, you still have $7,000 in that account, but you pulled $7,000 out because you had 14. You pull $7,000 out, which is your original investment. That $7,000 is free money that's not taxable forever.
And you can continue to make money on it. It's a great tool.
And the 7,000 that you just earned, all over your 7,000, are also tax-free
Yes.
Correct.
if you keep them until 59.
Right.
Correct. Or
59.5, right.
or you use one of the other exemptions to get
Right.
it out.
Amazing.
Yeah, this is why I tell people often, you know what else I did? I never transferred the phone number either. That's why I got people calling me on my phone. Because we had all these technical difficulties. I'll tell you what, Glenn, do me a favor. Go to a commercial. I got to fix a bunch of things that I didn't do that I normally would have done while we're trying to figure in that echo. So let's take a commercial, and we'll come right back. We'll talk to Carl Fisher some more about IRAs and Roth IRAs. This is Larry Steiners.
You
All
got
right,
'em
you're
going
clear.
to yourself.
Reset.
Hey,
Yeah,
Larry?
Yeah. Real.
All right, so I talked to Frank, and he listened to a little bit of the show. He says he thinks it might be a processor issue, that you have a problem somewhere with a processor, I guess with a computer that's converting the, I don't know, the digital input or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. It's right. I don't even know how to fix it. But okay.
It's not going to get fixed here in the next 20 minutes.
Definitely not. But hold on, I got to get to the phone number because we're getting calls to my phone instead of calls to the show. So
This is Larry
hold on.
Steinhaus, and you have probably heard my
Go ahead, do
radio
it.
shows and listened to my great advice on how you can make more money and pay less taxes. Well, I just finished writing a book on all things I teach at Investor
You know what I
Schooling
need, right?
and on
Checklist.
my radio shows. This
Are
book
we
is
in
called
Restream?
Money Hacks, and you want a copy of
Still
this
on the
book,
air on-
and you
on-
can pre-order this
we're
book
on some
wherever
channels
books
now.
are
I've been fixing
sold.
it.
Look for Money Hacks by Larry Steinhaus. Hey, it might even be a tax deduction. Order Money Hacks by Larry Steinhaus wherever books are sold, and come see me at Investor Schooling. This is Larry Steinhaus with
I'm not
Investor
coming next
Schooling.
week.
Are
No?
you afraid of the
No.
Great
Are you
Reset?
sure?
Yeah.
Well, the Great Reset
I'm done
will
with
apply
you.
to those who
Just
own
remember,
real
we're still
assets.
on
At
live
Investor
on
Schooling,
Facebook when
we
they
teach
can
you
hear
how
us.
to own real assets like real estate,
Make
gold,
sure you don't say
silver,
anything
and
you
other
don't want to
investments,
talk about.
including
Well,
stocks,
we can talk
stock
about
options,
IRAs and 401ks then.
Don't talk about that rash, Omri.
And you can do
and taxes legally. So go to investorschooling.com.
I used the
and find out
cream
how
that you
can
sent
take
me.
complimentary
I used the cream.
I'm telling you, it should work.
That's great. You could.
This is Larry Steinhaus with Investor Schooling.
We should do more of that.
Really?
That's how we get the
Real estate
callers.
portfolio is
We
coming
should do
quickly,
more of that.
And you want to learn how to do
All right,
it.
I'm going to
We all
leave
know
at
the
that.
downturn
I
is
won't
around
come
the
next
corner.
week
What
either.
does that mean to you?
Okay, sure.
You need to learn how to
But-
take
but
advantage of
she's
this
like you
opportunity.
have the handle
Like how to
on
buy
that.
She's
this
very
kind of property
offended when new
with
people
absolutely no
come.
money out of your
Very
pocket.
offended.
You people? What is that? You
All right, hold on,
Can.
guys.
You.
Can you learn how to do it?
Hold on,
Yes,
guys.
you can.
He's bringing us
Go to
back.
All right, you ready to come back?
Give me one more commercial if you got one. If not, I
This
can do it
Thursday,
while I do my intro.
investorschooling.com.
I didn't have time, so I threw in
All
a
right.
15-second PSA.
Okay.
All right, that's the best I could do.
Okay.
Life changes forever. We're fighting alongside.
Here we go.
We know one moment can change a lifetime.
And you're live.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to Investor Schooling Live. I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Deb Anderson.
Hi,
I'm
everybody.
here.
Oh, I'm not allowed to say anything. Sorry.
Mute her.
All right.
I'm not finished yet. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like ever since I brought Omri in, everybody wants to change the rules of radio.
No,
They just want to
I
interrupt the
always used
host.
to say hello. I always used to
Okay.
say hello.
Wait,
You
you
always
ready?
gave me
Okay.
a minute to say hello.
Okay, you ready? Hold on one second. Here we go.
All right.
I'm Larry Steinhaus. Welcome back to Investor Schooling Live. I'm here with my host, Dr. Debbie Anderson.
Hi, everybody. How you doing?
Okay, I'm also here with Omri.
Am I on?
And of course, we're here with.
Folks.
Of course,
Live
we're.
radio, folks.
Of course, we're here. Wait, what did he say?
He
We're
said
on
that we are
radio.
on live
We're on-
radio.
we're
He's
on
on live radio.
We are on live
Of course,
radio.
we're here with our wonderful producer Glenn, who also interrupts the show. And then of course we have the nice, polite Carl Fisher, who used to be a rocket scientist, who is such a rocket scientist that he applied rocket science logic to money and opened up Camaplan, which is a self-directed IRA company, which is amazing to me. Absolutely amazing to me that he did. Now, there's not a whole lot of companies that do what you do, right?
No, not a lot of them. There's been there was more a while back, but they've created more and more rules and regulations with the IRS that has created barriers to entry in most cases.
So, Carl, I have a question. I'm just going to just interrupt you for 1 second. So, how did you, I'm not sure how I see the progression from rocket science to self-directed IRAs. Like, what happened there?
I graduated school, went to work at Kennedy Space Center, was working on the shuttle program, launching men into space. Long story short,
You were in charge of the O-rings, were you?
no,
Because
not at all.
that would explain it.
Nope, I wasn't. But they overrode the rules that we put in place.
Oh,
But
wow, really? Wow.
the when I was there, we started moving towards away from manned space flight in the 90s, and they were talking about it, and then they were talking about giving it to the Russians, et cetera. So it kind of, I lost more interest in it when we were selling our manned space flight out there.
Okay.
And my dad died in that time frame, and I actually borrowed some money from somebody that had a self-directed IRA, and he was making 12 to 16%. And I looked at what he did, and I said, well, this is a pretty nice thing. I'm going to do it too.
Okay.
And I had a sphere of influence, and I'm the oldest of 12 kids, plus I was with a lot of engineers, and they wanted to use it. So they said, why don't you start a company? And I said, okay, when my sister graduated college and knew how to do the back office and the trust accounting work.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic.
It's pretty amazing, right?
That's
pretty
the
neat, yeah.
that's the transition.
Okay.
And
Well-
we grew up with real estate parents and grandparents.
Okay.
Well, I know about 150 investors personally that are very happy you did this.
Probably
Yeah.
Probably
Fantastic.
thousands.
No, I mean, I personally know
Oh,
about
you know.
150, but
Gotcha.
you're right. There are thousands and thousands of investors that are very happy that you did this too.
Yes.
But I probably know 150 of them. That's pretty good. I mean, I know Deb. Omri still hasn't done his Roth IRA yet.
Finally, I can do it.
You need to do your Roth IRA
Finally,
this year. You need to put your money into your Roth IRA.
of course.
All right.
7,000.
Yeah. Is it 7,000 for under 50 or is it?
It's 6,500
Yeah, that's what I
for
thought.
under 50
Yeah, I thought it
and
was less.
7,500 for over.
So you can only put in 65. I could put in 7,000. You know why I could put in 7,000 and you can only put in 65?
Talk to me.
Because I'm dumber than you.
Okay, because
You
you
know-
started it in an older age.
Well, because what we're trying to do is people over 50 to try and say, hey, you guys messed up this whole time.
You can save
and we'll
more.
give you a second chance to put a little bit more in.
Okay.
So that's why I say I'm dumber than you, because I didn't start my Roth IRA until I was about 53.
But you still have your 401k.
Yeah, but yeah. So okay, so I'm like what most people do. You leave your job, and the 401k sends you a letter, and they say, hey, you could keep it here. You could send it over. You could roll it over to an IRA, or you could take the money. You know what most people do?
Take the money.
Take
They
the money.
take the money. So
Pay
I've
the
done that
penalty.
4 or 5
Yeah,
times
taxes.
in my life. And now I regret it. I didn't regret it then, but now I regret it. So it's a big mistake. If you have a 401k, do not take that money and use it for anything. Take that money, roll it over into an IRA, and if you want to, you can take your IRA and turn that into a Roth IRA. Let's actually get into that conversation because that is very good for a lot of people, but not for everybody. So if you already have an IRA, I'm just going to preface it before you answer. If you already have an IRA, and let's say you have $100,000 in your IRA that you've been putting away, and then all of a sudden somebody tells you about the Roth IRA, and now you want to use the Roth IRA concept, but you already have this 100,000, you've been putting money away for 20 years, whatever, and you have this IRA. How do you convert it into a Roth IRA?
That's a good question, but it's pretty simple. You can basically take all of the money, or you can take a part of the money. Let's say you're almost getting ready to retire, and you're going to be off of your, you're not going to get your salary next year. That might be a good that wait till that next year to where your salary goes down to convert it. But the other side of it, if you're young and you've got a lot of deductions, like Omri's age, you might just be able to convert it all in 1, 2, or 3 years, or you could take 10 years and take 10% each year, so that you don't pay the big hit on the taxes. Now, there's another book out there called Keep It by Joe Luby, which it's easy to convert the money when it's in stocks or bonds or cash, because you know the actual value of it on the day you're going to convert. Now, if you have a building, a single family home or a condominium, you'll have to get an appraisal. But sometimes those appraisals go up and down depending on the market.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, we're in a pretty hot market because supply is limited and demand is high. So it's not a good time, I don't think, to convert a house. But back in 2009 and 10, when the values of houses fell, that was a great time to make your conversion on the property. So you would get an appraisal, take that appraisal the day of the appraisal and say, convert this to a Roth. Here's the money. And you might have a $300,000 house that's valued at $100,000, and now today it's probably $400,000 if you did that back in 2009. So you paid taxes on $100,000, but the asset is now worth $400,000. So you have $300,000 of Roth tax-free income, no capital gains, no nothing.
Yeah, which is a really good idea. And in the stock market, same schooling, learn how to do it the right way. All right. That was like a shameless plug, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a shameless plug,
All
but
right.
it's okay. I just go with it.
That's
We
what
got used to it from
That's
here.
what we have this hour for, to do shameless plugs.
Yeah,
but if you do that, then you convert it the next day, and then you maybe buy a winner stock and you get all your money back.
Yeah, or convert that stock, and when it does come back up,
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the pandemic days,
Yeah.
and you bought Royal Caribbean or American
Yeah, sure.
Airlines or Disney, Home Depot, all those stocks went straight down. And if you converted
Mm-hmm.
to a Roth at that time, you would have paid, maybe 20%. A lot of them fell 80%
Yeah,
in the pandemic. If you would have converted at that point, and then where they came back to now, you'd be making 80% tax-free money.
Yeah, it would be awesome. I
So-
actually did that during the pandemic. I converted what was left of my IRA into Roth IRA. It wasn't much at that point, but whatever was left, I converted.
Yeah, and it came back, and you made
Yeah.
money, right?
Yeah, exactly. Good, Army, you had a question?
So you lose your work or you quit your job, okay? And you can take your 401k and put it into an IRA,
Correct.
and the money still stay tax-free,
Yes.
correct?
Mhm.
And you can borrow the money or use this money to buy real estate.
Yes.
Well, yeah, but we got to take a step back, because first of all, you have to take the 401k and convert it into an IRA.
Correct.
Then you take that IRA money and you buy real estate. Now, your IRA owns the real estate. You don't.
I know.
And it's very important to understand that. That's where a lot of people mess up. They don't understand. They think they own the real estate. They don't. The IRA owns the real estate. In fact, you, as the owner of the IRA, are not allowed to touch the real estate, technically.
You're not allowed to stay in it or
Right.
use it. You don't want it for your personal house. Or
Yeah,
a
but it can
second
be an
home comes-
investment.
It'll
You
be an
can't,
investment.
You can't manage
absolutely.
it. You can't open a management company and manage your IRA house. You just can't do that. The joke is you can't even change a light bulb in the house that your IRA owns.
So it has to be managed by a third party.
Actually, managed by a third party, right? Exactly. You really should not be renting it. You shouldn't be showing up and renting it. Now, the IRS may have a problem with that. Most likely, no one's ever going to find out that you're doing that. So, if you own a house in your IRA and you show up and you're the agent renting it, the other person renting it, technically you shouldn't do it. Now, if you didn't charge a fee for that to yourself, you're probably going to get away with it. It won't be a problem. But just be careful if you're renting your IRA-owned houses.
So what's the logic behind it? Why they don't want you?
Yeah.
The main logic behind it is if you're doing work on the house itself, right? Like if you go in there and you're a plumber, it's great if you go in and fix a toilet, but what people do is they take advantage of that situation, and the plumber goes in and puts 3 more bathrooms in, or the carpenter goes in and adds 2 more bedrooms
To increase the value of the
to
property.
increase the value of the property, where they're only allowing you to put $7,000 in
understand.
a year. So now you're taking money out of these things and putting them into your
So you can
investment.
buy a rack and then
Rehab it.
Yeah, exactly.
You can
Rehab it.
you can hire the people to rehab it, but you can't swing a hammer or swish a paintbrush.
Well, and also be careful. If you hire a person to rehab it, the IRA has to pay for the person to rehab it. You can't take money out of your pocket.
I
and pay the
understand. Yeah,
person to
it's
rehab.
all the IRA.
Yeah.
And if you don't have any more money in your IRA,
So here's a cool thing. 'cause
borrow
We're going to get into that. That's what we're going to get into. We're going to get into borrowing money in your IRA. But before we do that, I want to give out the phone number. We did fix the phone line. Boy, Carl, you came on a day that we had 100% technical
Oh my
difficulties.
God.
We'll do it again.
So I'm going to say we have to have you back. But if you got there listening, 855-939-1137. You can get through the phone now before you couldn't. 855-939-1137. Feel free to call. You can talk to us about IRAs. It's an amazing conversation. If you understand money and you understand how to hide money from the government, this is the best way. And the government actually says, hey, thanks so much for hiding money from us. 855-939-1137 is the phone number. 855-939-1137. I'm Larry Steinhaus. I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Deb, and I'm also here with Omri, right? Is that how you say your
Omri.
name?
Omri.
And, of course, Carl Fisher with Camaplan. All right, let's talk about.
Well, let me just say, you're not hiding that money because we have to report to the IRS what your IRA is every year, just like the brokerage houses do too. So they know what you're making, but they
can't do anything about it.
Well,
right?
they're happy about it.
Yeah.
Because now you're taking care of your retirement.
Yeah, which is amazing, right?
Right. You're not on
Because, as you know,
Medicaid.
Social Security won't be here. Everybody says that. I know Social Security will be here. I actually one of the few people, as a Republican, I'm actually one of the few people that says, don't worry about Social Security. It'll be here until the day I die. I'm not worried about it. It'll be here till the day I die. After that, 30 years, 50 years from now, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure that both the Democrats and Republicans would be literally committing political suicide if they pulled the plug on Social Security.
Well, they're already moving the goalposts up.
Right, that they're doing. Sure.
I mean, at 66, I was able to take it. My brother had to go at 66 and 2 months, a year behind me, and now I think people up to that are retiring the next year or two are up to 67 or 68. So they're raising or moving.
Well, you're talking
those
about Social
goalposts.
Security.
Social Security.
So
yeah.
you could take Social Security early. You could take it at 62, but it's not the. By the way, I actually did a class on this one day. I actually did math on what the best time to take it is, and it actually turns out 67 is actually the best time to take it.
Depends on how old you live to.
No, I know, but I did the math based on how
I
how
got
old
you.
people live. I mean, look, if you can live to 103, yeah, you probably should have taken it at 17, but you don't know that. But I ran it out to about 90, and running it out to about 90, 67 was still better, and then it started to change.
Yeah,
but it wasn't. But who cares?
Yeah, it's definitely there's definitely a point where you can look at it and see it. I mean, it's an easy calculation.
Yeah, and 62 was the worst of the three. If you live to 90, I did all the math.
Well, it depends too if you're married or not married.
Yeah, because if you're
one
married, you're
spouse-
probably not going to live as long.
Well, but the spouse might take the spouse might take it at 62.
That's terrible.
But
Yeah, what are you talking about? The woman's gonna live like 20 years longer than the man.
I know.
No chance.
Don't you understand that?
No
That's
chance.
exactly what I'm trying to say.
Right.
See, right. You know why men die sooner?
Why is that?
Because they want to.
Is that what it is?
No,
Okay.
I'm kidding.
You're like, I can't deal with this anymore. I'm leaving.
I'm going to go home tonight, and the
Yeah, your
bedroom
wife
door is
is
going to be
gonna a little
locked.
upset with you. Linda,
right.
if you're watching, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
855-939-1137. 855-939-1137 is the phone number. Now, the cool part is, again, buying houses in your IRA. So now, let's say now somebody moves their money to Camaplan and they want to go buy a house using their IRA, but let's say they have $100,000 and the house is $200,000. So they need to borrow $100,000. How does their IRA borrow $100,000?
Remember, I told you earlier, it's like a trust. So what happens is you have to have a non-recourse loan because that's what the federal government has in its regulations.
Okay, so slow down. I want to.
A non-recourse just means
Exactly.
it's not on your
Right.
Social Security. They can't come back to your IRA for more money, and they can't put a judgment against you personally
Right.
for
So
any of that
you
money.
cannot personally guarantee this loan.
You cannot.
Only your IRA can personally guarantee the loan.
Well, your IRA
right.
can't personally guarantee.
Well, the IRA is guaranteeing it, but the
but
property
just the
that is-
property.
Just the
as
property, right?
collateral.
Exactly, right. Just the
Right.
property, right? So now somebody buys a house for $200,000 with their IRA, and they only had $100,000 into it, and then they sell that house for $300,000. Okay, now they've made $100,000, but they borrowed $100,000. Do they have? Is there a tax consequence because they borrowed $100,000?
If they didn't pay that tax back a year before they sold it, there could be a tax penalty, right? That they call financed income. And if it was over a year and they did it, it would be long-term capital gains. So they'd have to pay theoretically 20% on
On the 50,000.
on
Right.
50,000.
Right.
So they might have a $10,000.
But can that 50,000 then stay
Yeah, the 50,000, 90,000 is going to stay in the
IRA? So
Right.
even though you pay taxes, so now you pay 20%.
Even though your IRA pays taxes.
your IRA paid 20% taxes, the rest of the money stays in the IRA.
Yes.
Now,
So
can you actually take that money if you wanted to? No, I guess you can't.
Well, you can take it just like
But you have to.
if you're 59 and a half, you can
Right,
take
but if
it
you're
out.
before 59 and a half, you can't because you have to pay penalty on it.
Correct.
So that's really interesting. So now, even if you paid the taxes on the small portion of the gain, which is the money you borrowed, gain. So in this case, it was 50-50. It doesn't have to be 50-50. It could be 70-30. It could be 30-70. It doesn't matter. But you pay taxes on that small piece of gain, but the rest of that money stays in that IRA and works for you more.
Correct.
That is
when
awesome.
when you sell that property, you're going to pay the $100,000 back,
Correct.
and you're going to have $190,000 in your account to work
because you paid $10,000 in taxes. Wow.
But you have to return the loan.
No, we just talked about that. We just talked about that. You have to return the loan. But the cool part about it is, Linda goes.
We just saw it, yeah.
Linda put up she literally turned it on just as they said that, right? Yeah. Anyway. Sorry, Linda, I was making a joke. I'm sorry. Next week it'll be Omri and Debbie because I'll be dead.
No, it's a typo. She meant to say, I literally just changed the locks.
Sorry. We're reading the Facebook comments, and we've had so many troubles with Facebook. I'm actually surprised she was able to do that. Okay, but getting back to that. So yeah, Omri. So you that money stays in there, and you can continue to make money on those gains. So that's actually a really great idea, even if you are borrowing money and you have to pay taxes on a small portion of it.
But because it's a separate entity, right?
Yes.
Logically, who pays back the loan is the IRA.
The IRA,
because
correct.
the IRA took the loan.
Right.
Correct.
So you make more contribution to the IRA, and then the IRA return the loan. Correct. Am I correct?
Right.
Yep.
So you actually made a
return the
contribution
loan
by lending the IRA money, but you have to pay it back. But that money that you borrowed made money.
Exactly.
But because you borrowed that money, you now have to pay taxes on the portion that borrowed money made.
The percentage of it, correct.
Okay, only on the profit, not on the initial investment
Correct.
to the IRA.
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Pretty wild. So this is a really great way to accelerate your IRA very quickly.
And you can get these loans from banks. You can get them from other IRAs. You can get them from businesses. You can get them from other individuals that aren't disqualified. Your IRA can't borrow money from your lineal ascendants, such as your mother, father, son, or daughter, grandparents, etc.
So for a self-employed, for an entrepreneur like
Sure.
we are, I think you would recommend an IRA over a 401k. Am I correct?
No.
Ready for this?
Yes.
I recommend both.
You recommend both,
But
of
when
course.
I say IRA, I mean Roth IRA. Here's another
Well,
thing
you
you
can
can
have
do.
a Roth 401k
I was
too.
just going to say that. That's exactly right. So at Investor Schooling, we have a Roth, for the employees, we have a Roth 401k. So at the end of the year, my 401k is not tax deductible. But when I take the money out, I pay no taxes on it. In fact, here's another wild thing. And I'm actually going to ask you this because I'm actually on the fence on this because I'm not sure if I'm right about this. But if I go to my 401k right now, if I contributed $25,000 into my 401k this year, can I take that money out of my 401k and not pay taxes on it? And not pay a penalty on it?
No.
Okay, I'm paying a penalty, but I'm not paying taxes.
Correct.
Okay, got you. Okay.
Right.
So
on the Roth component of
On
it,
the
right?
Roth
You're
component,
doing
right.
a salary deferral of $25,000.
Right.
Yeah.
But I can take that out before the year ends? Take
yes.
it back?
Yes.
Without paying a penalty?
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay. That was the answer.
So my logic is
Right.
that the 401ks mainly benefits you if you work for a big corporation because the employer matches.
Right. A lot of people make that mistake and think that's the best reason for a 401k. To me, that's just icing on the cake.
Okay.
You know, you're gonna max out your 401k, but you still want to do a Roth IRA. So let's say you work for somebody. You max out your 401k, and you still get a Roth IRA on top of it for you and your spouse.
And
That's the better play.
And the real reason is we talk about $6,500 for someone your age, and you can put $19,000 into the Roth component of a 401k and $7,000 in your IRA.
So you can put more.
So you can put more in a 401k. That's why I say it depends on how much you're going to put in. There's rules. So, but either way, you could then buy a house. You'd now have. This year, you'd have $26,000 to put into a house. $7,000 in your IRA would own a part of it, and $19,000 from your 401k would own part of that house.
So real quick, we actually have Gary. Like he's one of our favorite listeners. Ice Cream Gary, the ice cream store. What's going on, Gary? You got a question for us?
Afternoon, Larry. Yes, I have a question about whole life insurance. My granddaughter
funny.
is 4 years old.
Right.
Our policy with me as the owner would be about $2,500 a year.
You're putting in $2,500 a year.
The thumb is after 30 days, you want to take a loan out on
Yeah.
that policy.
Sure.
Now, what interest rate is to be paid back on that money that is to be borrowed?
You should have listened to us 2 weeks ago when we
Yeah,
had
and the money
when
went to
we
where?
had Chris Noggle here. But so the answer is depends on the company you have. Most companies charge between 4.5% and 5%. There's one company who charges 8%, which is a terrible company. I'm not going to mention who they are.
Right.
But there are still advantages to it as long as you're making more money. Now, I would also suggest that you overfund that policy. It sounds like you bought this policy from some average life insurance agent who knows nothing about how to use life insurance as if you want to call it a money multiplier. So what I really would recommend you do, Gary, because I want to, we only have about 5 minutes, and I want to stay on the topic of IRAs and Roth IRAs. But you know what? Speaking of life insurance, now you said hold on, Gary, because this might be interesting to you. You said that you can't own life insurance in an IRA. In fact, there's no reason to. Is really to me the answer, unless. If I have a company, because I do have a company, I have a company where I buy whole life insurance. So I buy it from people like Gary, who may have a $10,000 in his life insurance policy, and he's thinking, I don't want to do this anymore. And if he cashes in and he gets $10,000, because that's cash value,
Sure.
but I would give him $12,000, for
Gotcha.
example. I'd buy his policy.
Yep.
Can my IRA buy his policy?
No.
Okay, still can't. Why?
Because insurance is not allowed.
Okay, there you
Now,
go.
a
There's the answer.
401k would allow it. Why the IRS did it that way, I have no idea.
But yeah, 401k lets you buy insurance. I know that, but I don't know if they let you buy other people's insurance.
Yes, they do.
Oh, they do. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, great. So anyway, Gary, what I would do is I would actually reach out. You need to come to class, man. You've been talking to us for 3 years. Come to class and reach out. I'll tell you a little bit more about how you should overfund your life insurance policy and make a lot of money on it because it's
Where does he
a great
live?
idea. He lives across in New Jersey.
Well, there you go. So it's just a quick ride.
No, he's just lazy.
Okay.
Gary, you're just lazy, right, Gary?
Yes.
See? That's it. and because you're lazy, you call the show every week and you get free information, but you don't get all the information because I can't give you everything in 5 minutes. So with that, Glenn, disconnect him because I don't want to talk to him about free stuff anymore. But thanks, man. I always appreciate your call.
You're a delight.
See you, Lair.
All right. So we got about 5 minutes. Have we missed anything that's important?
I just think that based on the economy that's out there, I think people should be looking to get houses with their Roth IRAs, and I like taking them subject to low interest rates out there if that's the case. So I recommend people open up their accounts. We don't charge them anything. A lot of our competitors will charge you an annual fee. We don't charge you anything until you actually buy something, because so many times people see a deal, then they come to open up an account, and by the time they get the account and their money over to us, because we can't control when the money comes from Fidelity or Schwab to that, they lose the deal. So we tell an account, put a few $1,000s in it so that you can at least implement a contract or execute a contract and pay it.
And then move the money over,
Yeah, and I do think that, within the next 12 months that there could be some really good deals coming out.
Definitely. And also, if you don't want to own the real estate, I borrow money from IRAs. Other students borrow money from IRAs. It's actually a really great way to make money without having to worry about toilets, trash, or tenants.
Sure. You're putting a mortgage on a property, and people say to me, what's more risky, real estate or stocks and bonds? Well, I grew up around real estate, so real estate is less risky in my mind than the stock market.
Yes.
But some people don't feel that way, and I've got a cousin who's really good at it. But if you buying real estate or you're lending money on real estate or real estate related products, I think that those are probably some of the best to put in IRAs.
Yeah, and also if you're lending money out of your IRA and you're lending it to someone who's buying real estate. Now, I actually did this. I did this in school in class one day. I actually gave a whole bunch of different options of where you could put your money, And one of them I said, and I didn't, I said investing in real estate, and I put at the end of it with an amateur real estate investor. So the interesting part was I proved that someone who doesn't even know anything about how to invest in real estate, it's still safer to put your money with that guy than it is to put it in other places. Now, please understand, because there's a little
example.
what? Well, there's a little bit of caveat to that, and the caveat is that the guy got a really, really good deal, and you use your money, IRA money or not IRA money, and you lend it to him. And if he messes it up, you now own the property, and that property is worth a lot more than you lent him.
Oh, sure. I mean, what's the word and the best thing that can happen?
Right, they don't pay.
On the
You
property.
foreclose on the property, right. And the way we teach people to do it, to lend money, is they don't even have to go through a foreclosure process. The property is automatically granted to them. And in fact, if the person who borrows the money fights that or fights the paperwork actually says that that person, win or lose, has to pay my attorney fees, your attorney fees, and everything else that has to do with it if they fight the paperwork. All right, I've got about 30 seconds. I want to thank you, Carl, for coming. Carl Fisher, Camaplan. Real quick, how can people get a hold of you?
Camaplan.com.
And that's C-A-M-A, Camaplan.com?
C-A-M-A-P-L-A-N.com. And you can set up a free consult or give us a call on the phone number on the website.
All right, I want to thank you all for listening. This is Larry Steinitz with Investor Schooling. Go to investorschooling.com, and you can take a free class and learn about this and other things. Say goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, we'll see you all Thursday night. Thank you.
Raise the roof.
Clear, hang on.
Thanks.
This program is paid for by Investor Schooling. All opinions or statements expressed on the program are solely those of Investor Schooling or their guests and do not reflect the opinions of WPHT or Odyssey.
WPHT, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
So, Larry.